Oh, so that was the main event, Volkanovski versus Lopez. Again, it kind of went how I predicted. Volkanovski is just too skillful for him. Lopez didn't make it easy. He had power for days. He had the reach. He was the bigger man. He stopped all of Volk's takedowns, or at least most of them. I think Volk was like 1 for 6 or 1 for 7. But Volkanovski's just a more dynamic striker. He has more defensive sensibilities, and he was one of the best in the world. And even when he's on the downside of his career, I just don't feel like Lopez was ready to dethrone him or to take a belt from Volkanovski. You're not that guy yet. Here's the thing. Lopez is got a lot of tenacity. Like I said, he's a good athlete. With a little more seasoning and a little more skills added, a little more tools in the tool bag, I can see him being something more in the division. He's not ready yet. And that's the read that I made. He dropped Volk. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he stopped the takedowns. He's got a lot of power. He cut Volk up. He just wasn't winning the rounds, though. You know what I mean? And Volk was lighting him up, too. So he's got to get a little more defensively sound. He has to add more tools to the tool bag. There's a lot of chances for him to jab as the person with the longer reach. I think he has longer reach, but as the bigger man, you should be jabbing more. He really couldn't initiate the exchanges, or he just initiated them the same way. He wasn't dynamic with his entries into the exchanges. But that's a lot to do with Volk, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, Volk just was dynamic with his footwork, with his feints. He was landing a lot on Lopez. I think most of the rounds were like upper 20s to somewhere in the teens. Volk was outlanding him at least by 10 or 10 or 12 strikes in each round, if the numbers that the UFC put up were to be believable. It was a good fight. It was entertaining. Lopez had a chance to win every single round, but Volk is just, again, a veteran and one of the best in the world. Everybody was doubting his chin, but he got knocked out by two very, very hard hitters. One a weight class up, and the other is Ilia Topuria, who has some of the most damage and power in the UFC, especially at his weight class. And so there's no shame in getting knocked out. Honestly, I believe that Volk took the Islam fight on short notice from a surgery, and he ended up getting knocked out. And he didn't have abs. He has abs in this one. Any fighter would tell you that abs is a good indication of how in shape you are. So it didn't seem like he was in shape to do anything to Islam, really, coming off that surgery. And then he took the Ilia fight too soon, in my opinion. In fact, I picked Ilia based on the timeline of what was between the Islam fight and the Ilia fight. I think he took the Islam fight in like September or October, and he took the Ilia fight in February. And it's just too soon to be getting knocked out like that. And now we're a whole year later, and he looked fresh. He looked back to his old self. I still feel like he was slightly slower. I feel like he was a slightly more susceptible to hard punches, but he's been dropped before. He put on a vintage Volk performance, minus the takedowns. And he's the new champion at 145. So congratulations to Volkanovski. I think he's one of the best in the world. I think he's one of the best of all times. He's the type of person that can change his approach mid-fight. Not a lot of fighters can do that. He could fight several different ways. And, it's good to be the king. Please don't ever go back up to 155. I think it's quiet. And honestly, if John Silva and Volk were to fight in 6 months, I'd probably say John Silva wins the belt. But I'm happy for him. I'm happy he got that title. And I guess we'll see what's for the future. Will he prove me wrong? Yeah, so as predicted, Paddy Pimblett beat the blood out of Michael Chandler's forehead. You know what I'm saying? Took him down to the ground, punched him, and elbowed him until his face was a bloody pulp.
Nigga, that's an understatement, nigga.
Nigga, he made Michael Chandler look like a blood orange all over his face. It was disgusting.
He looked like Leatherface.
And then he went to choke him out, and Michael Chandler, as usual, refused to give up, and the referee had to save him because Paddy was just landing all types of elbows and punches. And, like, a lot of people bet against Paddy. because his striking isn't all the way there. But that's the thing about MMA. There's 100 different ways to win, and Patty's usually finding a way to win, whereas Michael Chandler, so far in the UFC, always finds a way to lose. Michael Chandler is a front runner. He wins a lot in the first round, and either towards the end of the round or towards the end of the fight, he's always getting beat up. I don't know how this nigga stays in the top 10. You know what I mean? Like, shout outs to him. He was a warrior. You know, he went to war with Patricio Pitbull. He's always been an action fighter. You know, he's given us a lot of entertainment over the years. But there's no reason to keep going, dog. Like, unless you're going to, like, start fighting, like, the 15, 16, 17 person, this is not for you no more. Go home, take care of that black child that you raising, you know what I'm saying, that you adopted. Shout outs to you. You know what I mean? And heal up quick. Patty
Nigga
Pimblett.
adopted a black child?
Yes, you did.
Nigga, I bet prize picks on his next fight, nigga.
You're going to lose just like his last 4 fights. Patty Pimblett, shout outs to you. You know what I'm saying? You're a goofball. You got a goofy haircut, but you can fight. And I'd be interested in seeing Patty versus Ilya. I know they're on 2 different stratospheres, but Patty's undefeated in the UFC, and he's been on a tear. His fights are entertaining. He comes to fight every single time. You say what you want about his brash personality. You say what you want about his antics outside of the ring. He gets busy, though. And he whooped Michael Chandler's ass. And it just seemed inevitable. Shout outs to all you MAGA people that voted for Chandler. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope it was worth losing your money. But sometimes you gotta just watch the fights and bet on the technique. And Patty's clearly just a better fighter at this point in time in their careers. Yair Rodriguez just won a 3-round decision against Pitbull Patricky. Yeah, man. Pitbull, you would want to see a veteran like that be able to come into the UFC and, you know, get all the credit that he deserves. He put in a lot of work, a lot of entertainment over the years, and you want to see him benefit from all that work and get a long career in the UFC. It's just a little too late. Like, he put in a lot of work in Bellator as the 135 and 145 or 155 champ. But now that he's in the UFC, it just looks like it's past his prime. And honestly, Yair probably looked the best that he's looked in years. And it wasn't an easy win. By no means. I believe Pitbull won the second round. But Yair caught him with a few good shots in the first round. And Pitbull took him down. Yair controlled him, stayed safe. Second round came. Pitbull was able to get the most successful shots off. Then the third round, Yair dropped him. And that's all she wrote. It was a pretty ho-hum fight. It wasn't boring by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, you'll be expecting more from those 2 competitors just from how exciting they've been in the past. Sometimes that's how the matches go. But to be honest with you, I feel like John Silva beats both of them. Speaking of John Silva, he had a great showing against Bryce Mitchell's dumbass. He choked him out and made him tap out due to a guillotine. Bryce Mitchell ended up hitting a strong tap and then going right out right after that, which is a little embarrassing because Bryce Mitchell's supposed to be a great grappler. And in my prediction, I thought Bryce Mitchell will be able to do a little more on the ground than John Silva. But John Silva easily handled him. The first round, I think Bryce Mitchell might have even won. There wasn't a lot of action. But John Silva really boosted his own confidence by stopping Bryce Mitchell's takedowns. And then when the second round came, it looked like John Silva had gotten used to Bryce Mitchell's game, kind of figured him out, beat him up, hit him hard with some good shots, and then went ahead and tapped him out. John Silva is the future of the division. I think he will be getting a title shot either later this year or early next year. I think the fans will demand it. The Fighting Nerds, shout out to them. They are kind of dominating the game right now. So yeah, shout outs to John Silva, Bryce Mitchell. I don't know what it is. Maybe if your game was a little more well-rounded, like the world is, like the earth is, you wouldn't have ended up flat on your face, flat on your back in defeat. Bryce Mitchell is an idiot, and I don't know if he's not training. I don't know what's going on, but he doesn't seem to be getting better. He needs to stop focusing on politics. He needs to stop focusing on conspiracy theories and work on his game a little bit, because right now he's looking real trash. His last few performances have been lackluster, or either that or a loss. Ilya Tapora kind of, I think, took his confidence, and then he got knocked the fuck out, and now it just seems like he's not improving much. He really needs to go back to the drawing board. He was an exciting fighter, and now it kind of looks like he's either going to be a gatekeeper or just someone to make a name off of him, because he has a lot of fans due to his weird views on the world and country-ass way of talking. That ain't going to help you in the ring, B. You can say what you want. You can do all the stupidness that you want as long as you're delivering in the octagon. So he needs to do better. But this was a perfect fight for John Silva to showcase what he is and what the fighting nerds is bringing to the game.